Pepper says she's ready to decorate for Easter as long as we're defining our spaces and have our decorations nice and organized. Hello everyone, and I am so excited for this video because you know how much I just love decorating, especially for the holidays. It's something that I've done since I was a little girl because I've always been artistic and creative, and it just feels like an expression of my soul. So I'm probably never going to be one of those people who only has like 5 holiday decor per season. It's just not who I am. But as a recovering hoarder, I do need to define what that looks like. And I do need to curate what my favorite pieces are so that my favorite pieces aren't lost in the abyss of so much stuff that maybe I'm not as emotionally attached to. In my past, I would just impulse shop holiday decor, right? Because it made me so happy. And I would just buy so many random things, but didn't actually have a place to put them. It was just kind of like, I'll find a spot. But what had happened is that kind of contributed to the hoard. For this episode, what I'm doing is we're going to define the spaces that I decorate each and every holiday. We're going to continue my no spend for holiday decor so we can really develop that relationship with the pieces I have, not bringing more things in. And of course, if there was a need to add a decor because I had an empty space, well, we already did some DIY decorations this year. So as we're decorating today, using what I already have, using the DIY projects I made 2 weeks ago, what we're going to be doing is finding that delicate balance where it's not an extreme hoard and a mess and chaotic, but it's also not extreme minimalism where it's only 5 pieces. What I'm trying to do is find that happy balance right in the middle where it's not overwhelming and it's also enough to express my creativity, bringing happiness to my family and doing something that I really enjoy. And this year I want to incorporate more DIY, decorate with me, remodel type of videos because this is one of the big rewards of healing in my hoarding disorder and decluttering thousands of stuff in my house. I can finally get my home to be beautiful and manageable and a place that my family can enjoy. Now, the first spot that I always decorate for every holiday is the fireplace mantle. I do enjoy decorating this every season. So the first thing I have to do is give it a really good dusting. Next, I'm going to grab one of these like brick clips. These things are amazing. I love them because you don't have to drill holes into your brick. You just clip it onto the side so it hangs onto the brick and then hang your picture so you can change it anywhere you want on your fireplace without any of the holes. Next, I'm going to be hanging my Easter garland up. I've been putting this on the mantle for a few years now, and it's still in great shape. And what I do is I have these little command hooks on the side where I slip it through so that it holds on and not slip off of the mantle. And I did notice that on this end, it's kind of scarce. Like some pieces look like they're missing, but I found these 3 eggs at the bottom of the bin. So what I'm going to do is we're going to fix it. We're going to hot glue them back on just to make it look a little fuller, bring it more back to life and more symmetrical. And these Lenox Easter pieces are very sentimental to me because my mom used to buy them for me every Easter. She stopped around 2011, noticing that I had plenty of Easter decor, but they're still very sentimental to me. And even this piece, this I made, but in 2004, I know. But I love that I can still use it and it still looks adorable there. The next defined area that I decorate for the holidays is the TV entertainment stand. And as I dust the shelves off, as I decorate it, I'm going to be talking about how this process is so therapeutic in my recovery to hoarding. Hoarding disorder is a mental disorder. And unfortunately, there's no cure to it. But what there is therapy and modifying our behaviors. And that's what I'm really focusing on, is modifying the behaviors that I have. As much as it sounds amazing to be a minimalist who only really wants like 5 holiday decor to feel happy in their home, I think that sounds amazing for them because I know that it's bringing them happiness, joy, tranquility. But for me, I just want a little more of that. I want to see more of these pieces. I know a lot of that is fueled from my artistic, creative soul, because when I see all my things or things in general, I create this deep association of deep emotions and start looking at the color, the shape, the texture, and how can I create this into a new masterpiece? How can I express that creative soul within me to make something that everyone's going to love? And while it's a blessing to have that creative artistic ability, with my hoarding disorder, I never recognized the limit. The limit was infinite because there was an infinite amount of ways that I could create something, and that must mean that there's an infinite amount of stuff to be able to create that picture that I imagined in my head. And that's why in this episode, we are defining those limits. We're defining which areas we can decorate and be creative in. And we're also defining the amount of bins that we're having for that category. That's how you start to modify the behavior. That's how you start to scale back and go from a level 4 hoarder to a level 1 hoarder. And these modified behaviors is what also brought me comfort because I was so fearful that I had to change who I was. If I got rid of everything, that meant that I couldn't be creative. And that just wasn't true. I used to have this imagery of like minimalism being like a blank canvas, but to me, that made me sad because to me, that meant that there was no creativity at all. It was unfinished. It was just lack, scarcity, doing without. And I have definitely learned that that is absolutely false. That was what I used to think. I now understand it for what it is and how it brings peace, tranquility, and just a calmness to a lot of people. And as I've been decluttering the house over the past couple of years, I finally got to that space too, where I could enjoy the open spaces and I could also enjoy the pieces that I hold dearly, because some of these pieces that I'm putting up right now are very old, from like the late 90s, 2000s. These vintage looking eggs I bought at Michael's in 1998, and I decorated them for Easter in my bedroom at my parents' house. And it's just really cool that, oh my gosh, 20 years later, I can still decorate them and enjoy them. And I do love this feeling that I'm getting from it because I'm incorporating my old pieces that I really love with new pieces that I created. And speaking of created, I want to try and cover this phone jack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this very old piece, probably early 2000s, and put the Easter grass, some of the twine carrots I have, and create a new Easter decor instead of running out to Hobby Lobby and buying something new. I'm also a recovered shopaholic because in most of my 20s, I would spend so much money. I was a declared shopaholic. I was deeply in debt. And by my end of my 20s, I started to turn that around when Brandon was born. So by creating new DIY projects with items I already have, it helps curb that shopping addiction, keeping it in check. It helps us save money. It also helps me to be creative without bringing new items into my hoarded house. And again, we're just modifying an existing behavior. We're setting limits to it. We're defining what that looks like so that I'm not changing who I am. I'm still creative. I'm still me. So I don't feel like a completely different person. what I feel like is that I'm recovering, that I can still have a connection to my items. I can still create. I can still decorate for the holidays so that my family enjoys it. And by decluttering thousands of things, by having my Easter decorations in beautiful purple bins that are labeled, by defining what areas in the house I'm going to decorate, it makes it so much more manageable for me to create so that we can enjoy this. And I hope this video inspired you to decorate your home too.